Welcome to Xcelerate with Shawn Redford. The Xcelerate Xcast is designed to provide Experior agents with simple, repeatable, and profitable strategies for you to grow your business. We will share ideas on how to identify ideal target markets and new opportunities, improve your conversations with proven scripts and storytelling, and finally, we'll also meet with industry experts and our partner companies to ensure we're up to date with the newest technology and insights, all so you're able to accelerate your growth. We hope you enjoy Xcelerate with me, your host, Shawn Redford. Hello, Experior champions, and thank you for joining us for today's episode of Xcelerate with Shawn Redford. Today, we'll be discussing how you can differentiate yourself from the competition by helping your middle to higher income families and business owners keep more money, save more money, and leave more money with the help of one of our referral partners, Xcelerate. We'll discuss stealth taxes, how this is a win-win-win opportunity for Experior agents, and why consumers need your help. I have two special guests joining me. Matthew Pearson, Matt, the co-founder of Xcelerate and a distinguished business coach who combines his passion for engaging with entrepreneurs with his expertise as a certified tax and business advisor. He's a leading tax strategist, particularly in business and real estate investments. He's mentored at the Big Four accounting firms, and as an entrepreneur, he built an incredible business that soared to over $100 million in annual revenue in just 3 years. Ed Lyon is the chief tax planner at Excel, and he's an author, speaker, and consultant specializing in tax reduction strategies and planning for small businesses. Called the funniest tax guy in America by CNN, Ed is the leading authority on tax reduction and has dedicated his life to helping business owners and tax professionals beat the IRS legally, morally, and ethically. I'm now so excited to share my conversation with Matt and Ed of Xcelerate. And hello, Experior champions, and thank you for joining us today. And I'd like to welcome Ed and Matt to the Experior Xcast. How's it going, gentlemen?
Rocking and rolling here.
Awesome. That's great. I really want to thank you guys for joining us today. You know, the partnership with Xcelerate has already been an incredible partnership. I mean, it's only been a few short months. You guys were gracious enough to come all the way up to Toronto, Ontario, Canada for our convention, where we had, I think it was 1,400 agents from all over Canada and the United States. There's so much excitement. The fact that we had over 20 supplier partners from the United States alone come to Canada, and we're the only IMO or MGA that has operations in both countries that's been able to do this was super exciting. And all of our Canadian partners were looking over at your side of the trade show area saying, who are all these people? We've never seen all these Americans. So it was really exciting for us and our brokers. And I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for attending that, for your gracious offer to give us a bit of a discounted price temporarily. I'm not holding you guys to this, temporarily for your CTBA course, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on. I just want to, once again, thank you so much for your incredible support.
Well, it's been a wonderful partnership so far, and we've been nothing but excited from the get-go. You have treated us very well. We did come across the border, and there was a little glitch with Delta and everybody else losing something because of the Microsoft thing. So 3 days later, I made it home. But yeah, Canada treated us very well. It was an incredible conference. I've never seen anything like it. It was the most unique, energetic conference I've ever been to.
Well, thank you. We were super proud. And yeah, the culture is just, it's incredible. It really is a giant family. And I guess before we get much further into it, Matt and then Ed, if you guys can do a little introduction as to who you are, and then we'll talk a little bit about Xcelerate and what makes it unique.
Awesome. My name is Matt. I'm the CEO and founder of Xcelerate. And basically, I'm definitely not the smartest person in the room. That's why we have guys like Ed. But just privileged to be part of a group of people that love helping other people pay the right amount of taxes. Because so many people, I think the statistics are 93% of small business owners are overpaying in taxes, and 73% are out there looking for a CPA that will give them answers and not just put the right numbers in the right boxes. So very excited to be part of a team of people that love to do that.
Wonderful. Thanks. And Ed?
My name's Ed Lyon. I'm the Chief Tax Planner for Excel Empire. JD is our law degree in the United States, and I have written.
Ed is the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
8 books on tax planning and, more importantly, marketing tax planning services. So I have spent most of my career helping tax professionals and financial services professionals build their business with proactive tax planning. And when I say proactive, I mean not just telling clients how much they owe, but helping clients pay less. And there are so many different ways to pay less tax that are legal, moral, and ethical, that work and help clients achieve financial freedom faster, raise stronger financial children. Just life is easier with more money. And if you pay less tax, that's going to make life easier.
Absolutely. When we first met many months ago to start the conversation about possibly working together, Ed, you gave me a quote that I've been using every time I talk about Excel Empire. I always say, when was the last time your CPA came to you with an idea to save you money? Yeah. And I think it's been unanimous with everybody I've asked that question to. The answer is zero. And many of our own agents are in that position, right? They're high income earners, and never has their CPA ever called them and said, hey, you know what? I think you might be paying too much tax. Let's do a deep dive.
No. These guys and gals that work with Experior, they are sophisticated consumers of financial advice. They're offering financial advice. In some circumstances, they're consuming it in others. And yet these financially sophisticated people aren't getting the kind of proactive planning that a lot of people take for granted. The ones who work with us, who work with Excel Empire, can start taking for granted that they're getting that advice, but most people don't get it. And I call that the magic question. I've been asking that magic question for 20 years. And if you're with Experior and you want to build your business, ask that question to one business owner every day. Just one. Yeah. You can even take off weekends and holidays, one per day, and you will have your most successful year in business.
Well, I can scratch that off my list. I was going to ask you, what is the magic question? Because it's on your website, and I was going to ask you to share that with me. But there it is, everybody. And, you mentioned something, talking to your business owner clients. And we have financial professionals at Experior, but they're not tax professionals. And our goal at Experior is not to make everybody an expert or a specialist in all areas. Our goal is to give our agents the greatest opportunity to help the greatest number of people that they can, and to surround them with the resources that they need in order to succeed. And not the least of which is tax planning. I mean, it's probably the number one issue with any high net worth business owner, or arguably any individual.
And it is. People are in pain over taxes. Here's the thing. Nobody wants to hear about financial products. Nobody wants to hear about life insurance. Nobody wants to compare features and benefits on an annuity. Nobody wants to do that. So if you're in the business of getting compensated for selling insurance, you've got to find a way to make people want that insurance. There's a wonderful quote. It's my favorite marketing quote ever. And it's not from a marketer. It's from the playwright Tennessee Williams. And he says there are only 3 cities in America: New York, San Francisco, and New Orleans. Every place else is just Cleveland. Now, for those of you listening from Cleveland, he's not insulting Cleveland. He's not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just kind of generic. And financial services professionals face that same challenge. Most of them are pretty generic, and a lot of companies don't want their agents being anything more than generic. So how can you make yourself not Cleveland? Well, opening the door with tax savings as opposed to death benefit coverage or living benefits or nursing home benefits. Nobody wants to hear that. When you say life insurance, people's shields go up. It's like the old Star Trek series. Now, the Romulans are in the neutral zone, and the first thing that Captain Kirk says is, Scotty, shields up. That's what happens when people hear the words life insurance. When they hear the words tax savings, everybody wants to hear. So what Excel Empire helps Experior agents do is open doors with a conversation that prospects want to hear about. Then when we get to implementing the tax plan, that's when we talk about the tools. And the tools might be restructuring the business entity, or adding captive insurance, or adding a domestic international sales corporation, or switching from a qualified plan, which has potentially disastrous tax consequences down the road, to a Roth environment investment, which is life insurance. So by the time the life insurance comes up, it's not a life insurance sale, it's implementing a tax plan. It really reduces the resistance in the sales process, and it gives clients, and I use the word clients now, not prospects, gives clients a reason to want to buy.
Yeah, and I'd even go a step further. It's clients, it's not a transaction. It's a deep dive, a deep understanding as to what their situation is, what their concerns are. And, let's aim our photon torpedoes right there, right?
Exactly.
That's where we want to focus.
Oh, we got another
I like the callback. Very good.
Now,
I'm not the only smart guy in the room.
There you go.
Now, before we started the call, we had a conversation about specifically what you just addressed, qualified versus non-qualified investments. And I'll admit, in my career, if I have been meeting with somebody who's going to be at the same tax level, if they expect to be at the same tax level for the rest of their working life and into retirement or less, I would say you should not buy life insurance. For the purposes of retirement saving, you should use qualified, or in Canada, registered investment vehicles. Take those tax savings and utilize the tax savings today to either pay down debt, fund other investment strategies, etc. Now, we had a great conversation before we got on to talk about when does it make sense to utilize other types of investment vehicles or savings vehicles outside of traditional qualified investments.
Right. So the first thing to understand is that in the United States, there are 3 different tax environments. So there are qualified investments where you get to deduct the money going in, watch it grow tax-free, hopefully for decades, and then pay tax on the money when it comes out. There are taxable investments, which in some cases actually have pretty significant tax benefits. We'll talk about that in a sec. And then there are Roth environment. They're tax-free investments. So there's no deduction for the money going in, but the money is tax-free coming out. So the question there is fairly straightforward. Are you going to save more money by deducting the contribution going in, or by avoiding tax on the money coming out? And for many middle and upper income Americans, the conventional wisdom is you're in your highest earning years now. Go ahead and grab the tax deduction while you're in a higher tax bracket. You're going to retire at a lower income with a lower tax bill. So the tax savings isn't as much as it looks when the money goes in, because you're kicking the can down the road, but the can will be smaller when you pick it up down the road. The tax bill will be smaller when you pay it down the road. That's
Allegedly.
That's not always true for a lot of reasons. So for starters, let's look at just a regular stock investment. You put money into a stock. In the United States, as a taxable investment, you're already getting some tax benefits from owning stock. Dividends are taxed at a lower qualified corporate tax rate. It's capped at 23.8%. If you sell that stock during your lifetime, the gains are capped at a long-term capital gain rate. That's 23.8%. And if you die while you own that stock, the basis gets stepped up to fair market value at death, meaning the appreciation during your lifetime escapes tax entirely. Your heirs inherit it with no tax burden. But when you buy stock inside a qualified plan, which is what most people do with their qualified money, those rules go out the window. Everything that comes out of a qualified plan is taxed as ordinary income. So you're giving up the benefit of qualified corporate dividend rates. You're giving up the benefit of long-term capital gains. You're giving up the potential for stepped up basis. And when you pass away, your kids are going to have to, usually your kids, so your heirs are going to have to pay tax on the money. And in most cases, the heirs are still working. The heirs are actually in a higher tax bracket than mom and dad. So you have a lot of parents, you have a lot of people in that scenario saving money, taking a tax break for their retirement, and they end up paying, their heirs end up paying a higher tax bracket on it. Now, let's add another wild card. And Matt, why don't you talk about that other wild card? Let's gaze into Matt's crystal ball. Where are no, I was only implying that. You didn't have to make it explicit. So where are tax rates going?
Well, again, we're growing the debt by $1 trillion at just a remarkable rate. We're already at $35 trillion in debt here in the United States.
Woohoo! We're number one.
And that's the amazing thing when you stop to think of how quickly from 2018 to where we're at today, how our taxes have went up. So, our debt has went up. So there is no question here in the United States, there's only two ways for government to stay in business. They can reduce what they pay themselves. They could reduce spending. Ed, I don't know if they've ever done that in our lifetimes. So I'm not looking for that to happen.
And
but the one thing
we're not even that old.
There's two things that our government has done down through, since the early 20s. We see inflation and we see taxes rise. And those two things are going to be evident here over the next 10 to 20 years. We're going to see taxes go up. They have to.
They have to. Yeah, they have to. So, and most of the clients that I talk to expect them to. I ask them, do you think tax rates are going to go up or down between now and when you retire? And instantly they say tax rates are going to go up. So let's take a look at the implications of that. Remember, the choice between a qualified plan environment and a Roth environment is when do you think tax rates are going to be higher? And you take your tax break then. So it makes sense to be in a tax-free environment, a Roth environment. Now, there are certain very strict limits on how much can go into a Roth account and who can even contribute to a Roth account. However, there is an investment vehicle that gives you Roth tax treatment that does not have the income limitations of a Roth, that does not have the contribution limitations of a Roth, and offers some pretty significant benefits. You can borrow from that investment long before you can pull money out of a qualified plan without penalty. Without penalty. If you get hit by a bus, your 401k the money that's in it will keep growing for your family, but there will be no new money going into the 401k. Whereas with this alternative investment, retirement is completed for you. It's guaranteed by an insurance company. I'm talking, of course, about cash value life insurance. So it can do a lot more for you in terms of living benefits, nursing home benefits, long-term care benefits, guaranteed income riders, things like that. All of that is in the insurance world that's not in the qualified plan world. Plus, you get unlimited Roth tax advantages. Now, some prospective clients would look at that and they would say, I don't need the death benefit. Well, you may need the death benefit, you may not need the death benefit, but the tax savings over time are going to be far more valuable. The numbers, the net present value of the tax savings over time is going to be more than the amount that you pay into the death benefit. And the amount going into the death benefit is not an expense. It's guaranteed to come back. Yeah. So the cost of the insurance is actually free. What you're doing is you are paying a temporary cost before getting a guaranteed benefit in order to invest in the most advantageous tax environment.
Wait a minute. So I've been in this industry now for 30 years.
He started when
And
he was 10.
exactly. I was 10. Thank you for that, Matt. And I've been privileged to be able to work with many advanced cases, high net worth individuals all across Canada and now recently in the United States. Never in my 30-year career have I ever heard a tax professional, an accountant, say to a financial professional that they should use a life insurance product. In fact, most accountants are the obstacle in the way of a lot of insurance solutions being implemented by individuals. Explain this to me. Why is that the case?
So first of all, I'm not an accountant, and let me explain why that's important. When you hear accounting, you think of numbers. Oh, my kid's good with numbers. She should be an accountant. Well, any competent sixth grader can handle the arithmetic involved in a P&L or a balance sheet. Accounting is about rules. The debits have to match the credits. The balance sheets have to balance. So accountants spend 150 credit hours learning how to follow the rules. Most of them are rule followers, and they're looking at specific periods in time. So the accountant is looking to follow rules, follow conventional wisdom, and this year the client's tax bill will be lower if they deduct their 401k contribution. I'm an attorney. We also learn the rules, but we are trained to learn the rules so that we can advocate for our clients within those rules. Also, the key is having a long-term perspective. I'm not just looking at what's best for this year. I'm looking at what's best for the client over their lifetime. And if they're wealthy enough to have an estate tax problem, I want to make sure that their income tax strategies that they're implementing now play well with the estate tax strategies that won't come into play until the client dies. So accountants who understand the long-term perspective will happily agree that many of their clients should be in an insurance-based retirement environment rather than a 401k environment. The key is, one, making sure that the client understands that you're looking at a lifetime perspective. And by the way, I've trained over 3,000 accountants in the last 20 years. They expect tax rates are going to go up as well. They don't have blinders on. So one, you need to train them. But two, why do accountants kill the deal? Let's talk about that, because that's what accountants do. In so many instances, they kill the deal. When a financial advisor brings a strategy to a client and the client says, I need to check it out with my accountant, there's some things you should be saying to the client to kind of vaccinate them from what the accountant's going to say. Because first, let's look at the accountant's perspective. The accountant says, my client is asking my thoughts on this insurance-based retirement plan. What's in it for me? If the plan succeeds, how do I win? Well, I don't. If the plan somehow fails, then I'm on the hook because I have vetted it and I have said do it. And accountants, I think we can all agree, as a group, there are exceptions, but as a group, they are compliance oriented and they are risk averse.
Yes.
So if there's nothing in it for the accountant, their natural urge is going to be to protect themselves. And how do they protect themselves? By killing the deal. So the first thing to say when the client says, I want to bring my accountant in, you want to limit the terms of the conversation to the taxes. Oh, okay. I understand, Mr. Prospect. Your relationship with your accountant is important, and you want to vet this program. You want to do some due diligence on this. Is your accountant an expert in insurance, or is your accountant an expert in oil and gas, or is your accountant an expert in equipment leasing? Well, no, probably not. So what I want you to focus on with your accountant, I'm not saying don't run it by your accountant, but I want you to focus your questions on areas where your accountant will be comfortable answering them within his area of expertise. And I might even take and we have created this. We've created sales collateral material for agents that will summarize the argument that I just made for you on paper, and they can present it to the CPA and say, here's why we are recommending this insurance-based strategy rather than a defined benefit plan or rather than a 401k plan. And it'll go through all of those reasons, and it will place those reasons within the accountant's zone of comfort and zone of competence. So that's really how you keep the accountant from killing the deal. You don't give the accountant the opportunity to kill the deal, and you take the areas where the accountant is not an expert off the table.
Yeah. And I think too, I think when I think of accountants, I like to really simplify it. Remember what an accountant is doing. They're putting the right numbers in the right boxes. And when they look at that bottom box and you're paying too much in taxes, Ed hit the nail on the head. Ed hit the nail. There's something there. Yeah. Two Eds are better than one. But anyways, they go back up and they start looking, where can we reduce this number? And they feel very comfortable, like Ed said. It's the only strategy they know. It doesn't matter if it's the best strategy for this individual, because the accountant is able to strip away the emotions. Mm-hmm. If I am sitting here and I'm trying to tell a young man that you can afford to put $7,200 into a qualified account this year, you should do it. I need to know a little bit more about it. And that's where your agents are coming into play. They have emotion. They have an empathy towards their clients. They know that their client just put $350,000 into a new home, so they have a long-term mortgage that they're paying. They have a child that is on the way. And so to put that $7,200 away in something that if they ever touch and take back, they're going to get penalized. And if not, they have to wait till 59 and a half to ever take advantage of it. What happens if, Sue is the breadwinner in the family and she's the one's responsible for making that $350,000 mortgage. And on her fourth day into living in that home, she walks outside and she doesn't realize that the 7:30 bus sometimes comes 20 minutes early, and it wipes her off her feet and she is no more. That's where the life insurance policy, taxes, the minimal savings in taxes is just obliterated by the fact that dad or the spouse does not have to worry about the $350,000 mortgage. Mm-hmm. Sue planned ahead. That there's that gap for young people. And 401k, if you look back in the United States when they were started back in the early 2000s, notice what happened. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but number one, people started putting money in the market. The market immediately started going up because the average American started funding the market. What did we see with the debt in America? The debt went up. Why? Because the 401k has this thing in the future. It's qualified funds. When it comes out, Congress could look at the money going in that, and they have a deadline. They have an end date out there that the actuaries are telling that these people are going to go into retirement. Who tells them how much they can take out of it? Who tells them how much they're going to pay in taxes? So the debt rose in society, synchronized with the amount of money the American people were putting in the stock market in qualified monies. And then in 2018, remember, the Congress sent out, they knew that we had a national debt that was starting to get out of control. They sent people out to do a study on, hey, it's your task to find out what ways can we do to not take away Social Security, not put people in harm when they're in retirement, not do anything with retirement funds. Is there anything out there we can do to increase the amount of funds that we can take so we can take care of this debt? And they came back and they said, absolutely. Everything we're doing, we're right on track. This debt is going to continue to grow. That was before COVID ever happened. But they dropped a nugget in front of Congress, and they said that this stretch IRA that you have out there, allowing the families to get the beneficiaries when mom and dad don't use all of their 401k money and it passes on to the beneficiaries, they said there's millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars in there, trillions.
Trillions, yeah.
Trillions, yes, with a T. Mm-hmm. And they made this statement, and the statement is recorded, that if we were just to reduce the amount of time that the next generation of beneficiaries could spend those monies, it would create an additional $17 trillion in taxes. Well, they would never touch your retirement funds. Don't worry about that, folks. But less than 9 months later, they got rid of the stretch IRA, and it is now 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one thing I don't like about the qualified funds. We don't know what the rules are. They can change any moment.
And speaking of rules changing, I mean, one of the things that I admire in the US is the exemptions, the tax exemptions at death. I mean, is that going to be another way that the government, IRS, can look at recapturing some of these funds to help pay down the debt?
Absolutely. So the Congress, Congress passes the rules, and Congress is, of course, political in a way that the IRS is not. But eventually the bill is going to come due. We've got two ways to pay it, and we're going to end up taking advantage of both. One is higher taxes, one is higher inflation. We haven't paid off World War II yet. We're still paying off debt from Omaha Beach. I mean, it's insane. So Congress will have to look at all sorts of different ways to raise money. They may not bring estate taxes down, because that's pretty obvious. Oh, the death tax is coming down. They're reimposing it. But if they get rid of stepped up basis at death, or if they limit stepped up basis at death, if they add more types of income to, there's something called modified adjusted gross income for figuring out whether you pay tax on your Social Security benefits or not. It's its own special category. Roth IRA distributions right now are not taxable. And it would be a real betrayal for Congress to say we're going to start taxing Roth IRA benefits. But what if Congress were to say that Roth withdrawals now get added into modified adjusted gross income and force up tax on Social Security for people who are taking Social Security and withdrawing Roth money? So there are lots of sneaky different ways that Congress can raise taxes. In the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, they changed the way they calculate inflation, the consumer price index. So tax brackets, tax exemptions, things like that, those go up with inflation. Well, if you change the way you measure inflation in a sneaky little way that doesn't go up as fast as actual inflation, that is a stealth tax increase. And that's exactly what Congress did in 2017 when they switched the inflation adjustments from the consumer price index to a different version called chained consumer price index. So from a policy standpoint, there are lots of different sneaky little ways, and staying on top of them, as I do as I mean, this is why tax lawyers drive Jaguars. Because there's a lot of money in staying on top of this stuff for our clients.
Absolutely. So I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but I am going to ask you a question. What is the number one tax mistake people make?
Failing to plan.
Failing to plan.
Failing to plan.
You're saying that's financial planning.
Yeah,
Or,
it is. It's the same as financial planning. Treating taxes as a once a year distasteful obligation to get out of the way as fast as you possibly can. That is the number one mistake, and it gets more expensive the higher your income goes.
I'm going to add to this because Ed is the one that educated me on this, and it kind of goes along with what he said. But they assume that their accountant is planning for them. Everybody just thinks that their accountant is, and I will tell you, Ed's worked with 3,000 of them. There's not many of those guys that are doing anything but taking the numbers that you give them in that little electronic shoebox called a flash drive. They're putting those numbers into the right forms at the right time, and you're in compliance. The only thing they did that was proactive was tell you, pay this amount before this time so you don't get penalties and interest. That's not planning, but everybody assumes that my accountant has got my best interest. Yours and 700 other people are getting done just the exact same way.
Yeah, that's reacting. It's not planning.
It is reacting. It is compliance. It's not planning. So the 7 most expensive words in the English language are: my accountant takes care of my taxes. No, your accountant tells you how much you owe, and that's important. I don't mean to dismiss it, but your accountant does not tell you how to pay less.
So
unless you're working with a very special accountant.
yeah, and there are some great accountants in there that are more holistic and they take a big picture approach, and they probably have financial professionals on staff to help implement some of the strategies, which I'd like to get to in a minute. But I think the first question I'd like to ask is, why Excel Empire? What makes Excel Empire unique and different?
Why are we not Cleveland?
Why are you not Cleveland? How are you going to help our agents not be Cleveland? With no disrespect to Cleveland. We love Cleveland.
No. Cleveland's right across. Well, it's not right across the lake from Toronto. Down a different lake.
Down a bit.
So the first thing we do is we look into the future. We don't need a crystal ball. We don't cry that we don't have a crystal ball, but we anticipate in the future. So we're not just looking at a period in history. That's the first thing. The second thing is it truly is holistic. There are a lot of vendors in the tax reduction space who I call hitmen. They have one strategy. It's one weird trick that melts away thousands of dollars in taxes, and they go out looking for somebody to sell it to. And if somebody says, no, that strategy's not right for me, they say next, and they move on. And that's fine. I like some of those strategies. But rather than rely on one strategy, we look at everything. We look at a client's business entity, organization, and structure. We look to see if they can take advantage of special purpose vehicles. We look at executive compensation. We look at credits, deductions, and loopholes. We look at employee benefits. We look at qualified plans or non-qualified plans for retirement. We look at investment portfolios. We look at real estate operations. We look at charitable giving. We look at exit strategies when it comes time to sell a business. And we look at estate taxes. So we look at all of those areas holistically, and we make sure that the strategies play well with each other. In fact, I've got a presentation for agents. It's called Drug Interactions. If you go to the doctor and the doctor is going to prescribe an antibiotic, she's going to want to know what other drugs you're taking, because she's going to want to make sure the antibiotic isn't going to spoil the effects of something else. We look at that, where most people, the hitmen, just look at, hey, are you interested in buying my one strategy?
Yeah. And I go back to the question. The magic question is most CPAs are not giving proactive advice to their client. When was the last time you heard from your accountant of great idea that's going to save you money? The difference with Excel Empire, why Excel Empire, is because we are looking for that. We are giving our clients calls, letting them know, hey, you're up 22% this year. You're on a positive trend. We're going to have to tweak your plan a little bit to take that in. And, it's not coming to the end of the year and say, oh my goodness, you're up 30%. Wonderful. Now, is there anything you can buy before the end of the year?
Mm-hmm.
And that's as proactive as they get it. And like Ed said, it's a very reactive strategy.
Now, when I've been promoting and talking to our agents about Excel Empire, I've said this really is a win-win-win opportunity. It's a win when you present to your client the opportunity to potentially save money. When you ask the magic question, when was the last time your CPA came to you with an idea to save money on taxes? Never. The opportunity is, I'm going to introduce you to Excel Empire, and we're going to see if we can save you some money on taxes. Even if we aren't able to, let's assume they've got one of those magical CPAs that are doing a holistic approach and we can't save them any money. It's still a win for the agent, because they gave them an opportunity, and they're showing that they're looking beyond just the transaction. They care enough to introduce you to other professionals. I'm not the professional tax planner, but I've got a professional tax planner that I can refer you to. That's a win in my books every time. The second win is when, more likely than not, you are able to save that individual, that corporation, money on taxes. Well, now, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, you look like a rock star, because this wouldn't have happened without your referral. Now, the third, which you kind of touched on, you're going to do such a great job. You're going to find opportunities to save money, to look at other vehicles, to look at other opportunities. How do our agents factor into that conversation on the back end?
Very, very good. Well, first of all, we that's why we think this relationship is great. because we are made up of a bunch of accountants and attorneys and EAs and people that love to sit behind a computer and put numbers in all day. The relationship that we have with people like Experior is there are agents out there who know their clients, who are empathize and sympathize with their growing business and the struggles that they're having. So they're bringing us people that they know, like, and trust. And so what we're able to do is we are able to perform that proactive tax strategy and that proactive tax service that, we couldn't do without the relationship that we have with people like the agents here at Experior. So it's, again, I think it's a win-win-win. The clients, studies show that 73% of all business owners are looking for an accountant that can save them money in taxes. They're getting their advice from Google, YouTube, or at the gym, from Timmy or Tommy down at the gym, not from their accountant. Then they go back to their accountant and say, will this work? Yeah, let me research that, maybe, but they never really act on anything. Whereas in this situation, they're able to bring somebody that knows those strategies, can help implement those strategies. So the Experior agent introduces them to somebody that can help them find what they're looking for. And again, with the saved and found money, now we turn them back to the Experior agent and say, hey, we've saved you $43,000 this year. Now go talk to Shawn. He's got some strategies that can help you reduce taxes on this money in the future. Yes. And that's where we've been very successful in working with agents.
So the Experior agent gets to spend the savings. And in many cases, we have already made the sale for the agent. So when we talk tax planning, when I talk about qualified retirement plans with a business owner, I walk through the same discussion I walked through on this call 15 minutes ago, and I demolish the qualified plan. The business owner says, oh, I started a defined benefit plan 3 years ago, and here's why I'm so proud of it. Okay, well, did you know that you're converting your long-term capital gains into ordinary income? No, I didn't. Did you know that you are losing your stepped-up basis at death? No, I hadn't thought about that. Did you know that even though you're only contributing 8% on behalf of your employees, that 8% takes your 37% tax savings down to a 28% tax savings, and you're going to be in a higher tax bracket down the road? I kill more qualified plans before noon than most tax planners do all day long. And when I do that as part of a tax plan delivery, I knock down the qualified plan, then I set up the Roth IRA or tax-free environment. I've already introduced the concept of a life insurance retirement plan. I've already familiarized the client with the tax benefits and the additional flexibility that they get with life insurance that they do not get with a qualified plan. If it's the right circumstance, I may even introduce the idea of leverage in a life insurance retirement plan, which simply cannot happen in a Roth IRA environment. So the dominoes are already set up. All the Experior agent has to do is match the client to the appropriate product and just go and knock those dominoes down. But I'm going to set them up for them.
And does the agent get the report?
Yeah. Oh, the agent will get a copy of the report. We want the agent to be part of the entire process. We want the agent to be there when the plan is delivered, because that associates the benefit of the tax plan with the agent. Our job really is twofold. One, we want to save our clients money. But two, we want to make you guys look like heroes. Because why? If you look like a hero and the client loves it, you're going to bring more clients to us. So we're going to do more tax planning by making you look like a hero.
Yeah. Yeah. And something tells me, if you offer good service to a client, just good service, not only are they going to do business with you, they're probably going to do repeat business with you.
Yeah. Yeah. They're going to do repeat business, and they're going to refer.
Well, I think that's the difference. The difference is if you offer great service, going above and beyond consumer expectations, which this undoubtedly would be above and beyond. Nobody would expect their insurance agent or their investment professional to offer this level of service or this level of support. That's when I say, now you're offering great service. Now you are exceeding expectations. Now you've earned the right, first of all, to ask for an introduction, because you're not just meeting expectations, you're exceeding them. But I think the consumer, the client, will feel compelled. Oh my God, how could I not tell the people I care about, my friends, my family, my business partners, about this incredible opportunity? Yeah. Would you agree?
Absolutely. The word that clients often use at the end of the first plan delivery is life-changing. They say this is life-changing stuff. And now the client gets the chance to be a hero. Who do you want to be a hero for by changing their life?
We just had to let Ed depart the podcast here because he had to go save some corporation or some high net individual some taxes. So we're going to finish up the conversation with Matt talking about the process. Okay. I'm sure all of our agents are super excited about this opportunity now, having heard it, maybe some of them for the first time, second or third time. Sometimes it takes a couple times for it to sink in. But Matt, can you explain, how do our agents go from A to Z with Excel Empire?
Absolutely. Yeah. We miss Ed when he has to go like that. But I tell you, when you're as fun of parties as Ed is, he's a hot commodity. CNN called him the funniest tax guy in America, which I always have to let him know that the bar is not really that high. You know? But
you gotta keep his ego in check, right?
We have to. But the process is really simple. So first and foremost, we've established a partnership with Experior, and both Jamie and Shawn took us out behind the building and beat us up a little bit, and got a great deal for Experior agents. So they're able to come right in. You're already have all the master opportunities. Everything is at your fingertips. We just need you to take a few more steps. First, you would contact our office and let them know that you're with Experior. And then what happens there is we open up what's called Excel University, which will be tons of videos and PowerPoints, things you can use in client interaction. The magic card, the magic question that we talked about, we actually have a bunch of printable marketing material. We have phone scripts, email scripts that are in there. We just launched media scripts, which you can use on social media, etc., to let people know that you are now in the world helping people reduce their taxes, and that will help them prepare for growing their business or helping them in retirement. From that point, you'll have a one-on-one session with one of the people on our onboarding team who will walk you through the process step by step. So here's how you bring somebody into the funnel. So for us, in your back office, there's a sheet, there's a website that's made specifically for Experior. And you would go and you would put the numbers of the client. It will give you an estimated tax savings. From there, you would put your 6-digit number in there that clearly identifies who it is that's bringing us this client, because we like to make sure the right people are getting the referrals on that. And then after that, down at the bottom of that sheet is going to be a calendar. A calendar is for you to put the information in on your client, setting them up for a discovery call with one of our accountants or certified tax and business advisors. You yourself need to be on that meeting. We find that our closing rate goes way up if when you come on that meeting, you're the one that's introducing the client. You're sitting on their side of the table, but you're the one that's introducing us. We're on your team, and that's the way we want to be introduced. Hey, this is Matt. He works in our tax office here, and we're going to have him ask some questions so that we can better look at your holistic tax situation and see if there's any way we can save you additional monies. From there, we do a document request, which the email actually comes from your email, your Experior email. It comes into our secure portal. But again, your client is seeing that you are an integral part of this process. The documents come into the portal. You're alerted when they don't have, like if there's 4 documents we're requesting, we'll let that agent know first. We're not reaching out and talking to your clients. We're saying, hey, Shawn, we're missing a P&L for 2023. Can you reach out to Mr. Smith and see if we can get that? From that point, it goes into the tax planning phase, which is about 2 to 3 weeks. Each step along the phase, from the analyzation to the strategization, all the way to the audit review, you as the agent and the client are going to be getting these emails, keeping you up to date on where you're at in the process. Then to schedule the final call, the delivery of the savings, we're going to reach back out to you, the agent, and we're going to say, can you use this calendar and schedule a time so we can deliver with your client? We want you to be on that call so that you can see the savings, you can see the questions that the client has. The first call is not going to be, hey, sign here and we'll start saving you money. We're going to say, here's the guaranteed savings, $38,000. Here's some of the strategies we're going to implement. We want to give you time to talk it over with Shawn to see if this is a good fit for what's going on. Because again, we want to set the agent up as the trusted advisor. So at that point, we give them the details of the contract. The contract actually goes back through the Experior email to the client. So the agent can see when it's signed, if it's not. If they have questions, they're going to reach back out to you. If they want to get back on a phone call with us, they come back to you. And to tell you, we've been in this industry for a little over 20 years. And here's what I'm finding today that is amazing. We've helped people with tax planning way back in 2008, 2011, 2014, and they're getting ready to sell their business. I was on a call the other day with an HVAC gentleman, $5.5 million sale. He called our office and said, hey, I'm getting ready to sell my business. You guys help me with taxes back before COVID. I think it was 2014 when we were working with him. I'd like to get with an advisor. And so we were able to look up and we were able to say, yeah, Richard is still in your area, still working with you. Why don't you reach out to Richard? Richard's going to have some questions for you. And we've got a sheet that Richard filled out, and Richard scheduled him back into the meeting. And now Richard is going to get additional commission on the sale of a $5.5 million business. And in this particular situation, the guy wants to know how he can set up monies for his kids and his grandkids.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
they want to leave a legacy. They built, poured up their blood, sweat, and tears into this business, and now they want to pass it on.
Exactly. And so we turn that back around to the advisor as well and say, hey, here's your trusted financial advisor, and Shawn, he's got some strategies that he can help you do that, and maybe even increase the amount that you're giving to them without any additional tax consequences. So again, just kind of setting it up. That's a very quick overview of a very complicated process, but we like for the client to see that it is simple. It doesn't take a lot of heavy lifting on their side. And they see you, the agent, as part of the process all along the way.
Yeah. And as you pointed out, we haven't talked about it yet, but our agents are even compensated for it. Not only are they offering a great service, great opportunity, not only is it likely going to result in tax savings, which then you can turn around and either reinvest in annuities or insurance products, you're also getting compensated just for making the referral. Well, not just for making the referral, for the tax savings that are created. And for our agents, we're not going to get into it here, but the information is in our back office on compensation. So you can look into that in more detail. I think on this note, we're going to wrap up. Before I wrap up, I just want to say, again, the partnership has been absolutely incredible. We've really enjoyed this. And the other thing that we haven't talked about yet is there is no licensing required. So for our individuals who've just recently joined us, they're going through the licensing phase. You don't need a license to introduce people to this opportunity. So, while you're getting licensed, bear in mind what Ed was saying earlier on. Talk to one business owner a day. Ask the magic question to one business owner every day.
It'll be life-changing for any agent that asks that question, because again, that person may not be the person that needs that question, but they'll be sitting at a ball game this weekend and someone will talk about how much their accountant screwed up and how much they're going to have to pay in taxes, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they're going to be, you need to go talk to Barbara. She was just telling me about a new service they offer at Experior. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I've got 4 points that I'm taking away from this. I mean, there's so much great content, and Matt and Ed, thank you so much for
Our
this.
pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. It's not going to be the last time. I'm sure we'll probably have more specific topics in the future. But my 4 takeaways here are: it's a win-win-win for our agents. There is no downside here. Second, I love that you said this. You are sitting on their side of the desk. You're not trying to sell them anything. You're advocating for them. You are helping them with this opportunity that they wouldn't have had without you.
Yep.
The third thing, I'm stealing from your marketing material. You're giving your clients an opportunity to keep more, save more, and leave more, which is fundamentally what we're trying to do for all of our clients at Experior too. So the philosophies mesh really well. And fourth, I often pride myself on talking to agents about how to better brand themselves, how to differentiate themselves in the marketplace. We don't want our agents to be Cleveland.
Yeah.
This is a great way for you to differentiate yourself, offer a great value proposition that is undoubtedly going to allow you to offer a greater service level than anybody's expected, meaning you're going to get introductions. Not only are you going to get repeat business, not only are you going to get sales opportunities, you are going to get introduced to other people, just like this person that you've introduced to Excel. Am I missing anything, Matt?
Not at all. And to go one step further than that as well, a lot of things here in the United States, when you join these different groups, they'll say, well, we've already got an insurance salesman, or we've already got a CPA. You can still squeak right in there to these business groups and say, I'm not a CPA. I'm not an insurance salesman. I'm a proactive tax planner. I've got proactive tax team behind me. And so immediately you can step into these groups and start building relationships with business owners. Yeah.
And on that note, we didn't have an opportunity today to talk about the CTBA, the Certified Tax and Business Analyst designation. I'm excited to participate in it.
We're looking forward to seeing you there. Your group makes up about 20% of the attendees.
Ooh, that's awesome. Well, and I can't wait to come back and tell the rest of our agents what I learned and how it's going to help me better serve them, but more importantly, how it can help them better serve their client base. So I'm looking forward to that very much. And I'm looking forward to seeing you and Ed. And once again, I just want to thank you for this incredible relationship, this incredible opportunity for us. And I look forward to working with you going forward.
We as well. Thank you very much, Shawn. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Matt. You take care. And Experior champions, make sure that you continue to tune in for our XCast podcast. Lots of great content here to help you with scripting, opening other opportunities, and hopefully learning something, and maybe being entertained every once in a while too. Every once in a while. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for watching Xcelerate. I have another great video right here, so check it out. And remember, Experior Financial Group is about real people, real ownership, and real change. Let us help you accelerate your growth.